If, like myself, you were lucky enough to experience the world of Club Penguin while growing up before its dramatic closure, you would know that the game had so many of our childhoods in a chokehold for years, and a game that we still reminisce about today, even with it being shut down for over 8 years now. It was one of the first games that I remember that managed to glue me to my computer screen for hours, grinding for things like coins, stamps, or just cosmetics to show off to random people on the internet. It was so simple yet so complex, and perfected the formula of being able to keep you wanting to log back on day after day. Whether that be through in-game events like parties, new conspiracy theories like the Iceberg finally tipping over, or just the excitement of new items. In this video, we will be taking a look at one of the many icebergs that surrounds the world of Club Penguin lore. But before the video gets started, I want to give a huge shout out to the Reddit user AmusingLuis for creating the main foundations of the iceberg, which I've then added some more topics to as well. Starting off with the tip of the iceberg, the first topic is the infamous 2017 shutdown. This was the official end of Club Penguin on March the 30th, 2017. At the final minute, servers kicked everyone off with a farewell waddle on message, and the site redirected to the new Club Penguin island. The in-game music faded, rooms emptied, and live streams captured mass gatherings at the town, dock, and iceberg. This refers to Disney's acquisition of New Horizons / Club Penguin in 2007, being a huge media buyout. This buyout folded Club Penguin into Disney Interactive. It changed budgets, safety systems, merchandise strategies, and ultimately the franchise's business direction from a web game to a mobile one. This is just the fact that Club Penguin was originally launched on the Miniclip website back in 2006, and where the first surge of the game's popularity occurred, before joining the Walt Disney Company in a partnership designed to provide better resources and unique development opportunities. The Mullets has been in several different games, including Aqua Grabber and Ice Fishing. It appears in Ice Fishing at the end, and to catch it, the players must keep a yellow fish to use as a bait. If caught, the game ends and the player is awarded an extra 100 coins. In Aqua Grabber, it will, in clam waters, be swimming once the player has collected the giant pearl. In Soda Seas, the mullet is seen guarding an entrance to some hidden treasure, and can be once again caught by using different baits for a coin reward. This was a multi-chapter EPF takeover event in 2012, where Herbert uses a solar laser to plunge the island into darkness. Players sabotage his base, sneak through vents in stealth gear, and restore sunlight in a climatic questline. This was the 2004 to 2005 predecessor to Club Penguin, a proto-lobby with waddling, emotes, and snowballs, running as a web room rather than a full island. It had some iconic spaces like the early dojo and boiler room look, and even a ninja mask for black penguins. It's a game that you can still check out today through remade servers if you wanted to see some of the early inspiration for Club Penguin. This was a redemption system where codes from toys, books, and magazines opened a treasure book. You'd pick exclusive clothing or coins. Some codes from things like soft toy tags were one-time use, whereas others, like book answers, would be uploaded to YouTube and put in the in-game chat for everyone to redeem, since these were only depending on time and not individual per code. This point refers to there being hidden / secret items in each catalogue. All a player would have to do was hover their mouse over different parts of the page, and whenever their cursor changed to a click symbol, a hidden item would appear. The most well-known example of this is the Viking helmet, which changed when opening the helmet's pop-up 4 times in a row. The helmet would change from a red colour to a blue Viking helmet. This is the Elite Penguin Force, a successor to the PSA after the PSA HQ explosion. It spans DS games and main Club Penguin, with a high-tech headquarters, weekly messages, and story missions where you go against Herbert with spy gadgets. This was Rocket Snail, or Lance Preeb's 2000 prototype. It was a snowball-throwing sandbox with penguin avatars on a blank canvas. It's the conceptual ancestor of Club Penguin, testing movement, chat bubbles, and the snowball mechanic. Automated penguin accounts that rapid joined rooms to post ads, URLs, or mass-like igloos. In late Club Penguin, bot waves sometimes filled the town or plaza with repeating messages until moderators or filters purged them. These are fan-run creations or mods of Club Penguin that hosts archived SWFs or custom features like free items, free memberships, or custom parties. They keep the world alive post 2017, but also sit in a legal or ethical grey area and vary wildly in safety. The beta party was celebrated in October of 2005, where testers earned the beta hat, which was a purple and green party hat. That hat became the ultimate status item. Seeing one in a server meant that this player had been there since day one. Tipping the iceberg. Now this was a day one myth, where if you drilled long enough with enough penguins, it would flip. This myth/rumour finally became a reality during Club Penguin's farewell event in 2017, and when tipped, it revealed a secret area and rewarded the special blue hard hat. A hand-drawn key hidden in Rockhopper's journal in the book room. Clicking it added the key to your inventory. For a while, people thought it was going to be what was needed to open the treasure room next to the pool. However, this would be proven false with the Puffle Rescue minigame. This refers to puzzles and messages in PSA and EPF content that use ciphers like the tic-tac-toe code to decode hidden notes, mission passwords, and transmissions from Herbert and/or Klutzy to complete specific missions in spy parties or progress storylines in the regular EPF content. This was the official mobile version of Club Penguin that was released after the original game shut down in 2017. It introduced new mechanics and a different way of playing, but was nowhere near as popular and was eventually shut down, just 1 year after opening. This was a post-shutdown fan rebuild that hosted Club Penguin's rooms, catalogues, and parties using archived assets, one that I actually checked out for a few hours when it first released. It ran like Club Penguin, but it had membership-free cosmetics and parties on a schedule, until it was taken offline by authorities after rights complaints and copyright. Now this was a very, very large remake of Club Penguin that rivaled Rewritten and also marketed itself as the biggest successor to the original game, with custom items and parties. It later became very infamous for unsafe moderation and serious scandals, which I can't really talk about here, that led to its closure. But if you want to know the ins and outs, I know for a fact there's plenty of videos and articles on the internet describing exactly what happened. This was the watermark from a popular free screen recorder in the early 2000s that stamped early Club Penguin YouTube videos like music videos, glitch tutorials, and mods. This was a darker penguin colour, separate from normal blue, present as an internal colour ID during the earliest era. It appeared in concept art and odd glitches, but was never actually released as a pickable player colour in the original game. Shadows around the island refers to pre-ninja silhouettes in the dojo windows and other subtle hints that something ninja related existed and was coming to the game before the addition of card jitsu. Players and bloggers pointed to these shadows as proof that ninjas were 100% coming. Deliberately unreleased database items. The IDs exist, but there was no legitimate unlock, and these were used to catch cheaters. If someone wore or owned them, moderators knew they'd injected the items and could ban them accordingly and instantly. This was the rumoured fourth ninja element, also known as Dark, after fire, water and snow. Fans expected Shadow Ninjas, a dojo expansion and new belts. However, this never actually released before the shutdown. DJ Max was a background party DJ in Penguin Chat 3 that originally made his first appearance on Club Penguin in the holiday beta party. DJ Max then became a full stamp granting mascot. He shows up during music jam style events, performs in the nightclub, and can be met for a stamp. Colour IDs like lavender, maroon, grey, and old blue that existed in data but weren't offered in the closed shop catalogue. They lived on as trivia, hacks, and eventually were released in the private servers. This was the original name of Hydro Hopper, which is very visible in early file names and early Club Penguin builds. This was a Flash 4 web-based game that developer Lance Prebe was developing in his spare time in July 2000. The project was never finished and instead ended up forming into Experimental Penguins. The game contained various mini-game prototypes, with the most well-known one being Ballistic Biscuit, which then adapted into Club Penguin's Hydro Hopper. Red Arcade Game was an unused lounge arcade cabinet sprite discovered in files and found in the arcade. It suggested a scrapped minigame or themed rotation that never shipped. It was stated in an EPF message on February the 13th, 2014 that there was a 27.84% chance it would explode if plugged in, and was finally revealed that the machine made a virtual world version of your penguin to play a catch food game like Pac-Man in the same year. This was a location which remained a myth for the entirety of Club Penguin's lifespan. Many players confused Rockhopper's quest, where you would go to multiple different islands and could find unique items, including treasure chests, rare artifacts, and other collectibles, with the actual Rockhopper Island, one that never became accessible to players. The different islands also had various minigames, puzzles, and even a hidden Rockhopper journal where he documented his travels. During events like the Pirate Party, Rockhopper would often be featured prominently, where players could embark on missions, help him search for treasures, and experience party-themed adventures, but it still remained a mystery on how or if it was ever going to be implemented to the game. Fast forward to now, and most of the new Club Penguin remakes have actually introduced the island in different events. The TV specials are a series of 22-minute television features based on Club Penguin. To date, 3 features have premiered: We Wish You a Merry Walmus, Monster Beach Party, and Halloween Panic. All specials thus far are produced by Factory Transmedia and animated in stop motion. They have aired on various Disney Channel, Disney XD, and Disney Junior channels worldwide. In November of 2007, the skull and heart emotes were removed from the game due to kids and parents complaining about them being misused, although months later the heart emote did make a return. Originally introduced in 2009 at the April Fool's Party, players could purchase a cardboard box and travel to a different dimension. The room was literally just cardboard boxes on the floor, a purple background, and cardboard boxes flying around, which was something unique in Club Penguin. It contained boxes that acted as portals to other dimensions, and certain April Fool's parties added temporary dimensions like candy, space, and stairs as a one-time thing. One of the mascots, called Rookie, was often tied to the dimension, implying it was discovered by accident, which made some users believe it was originally a test or debug room. Room IDs/art for places that never opened to players, like a proposed welcome room, alternate TV studio, extra forest, etc. They exist as half-finished SWFs or map placeholders. This was a fan-observed claim that some Wii Club Penguin Game Day textures or UI elements resemble or were adapted into Fortune Street era assets, for example, vector shapes or fonts reused across projects. Operation Swarm was a cancelled EPF operation centered on robot swarms or microbots unleashed by Herbert on Club Penguin rewritten. Players expected stealth or gadgets like Blackout. However, there were only references and nothing ever came of this event. This is a lesser known fact that Sony was in talks to buy Club Penguin and made a strong bid of a potential $450 to $500 million acquisition. However, Sony's acquisition of the game didn't happen as discussions eventually fell through, leading to Disney's acquisition in August of 2007. These were year-long fan edits and hopes for rainbow and gold puffles, which were all over YouTube, that eventually materialized. The rainbow puffle was available via a quest that was released in 2013, and the gold one was released via puffle digging in 2013 as well. This is the idea that Club Penguin Island started as a mobile extension before pivoting into a hard replacement, which explains why the web version wound down instead of coexisting. This is regarding there being a film called Penguin's Memory, A Tale of Happiness, which focuses on what is meant to be the Vietnam War in animated form and life after it. Many people who know about this entry also call it the Club Penguin beer commercial war movie. Claudius was a scrapped villain character. He was going to be an ancient gnarled crab and make his debut in a crab mob storyline, but it was eventually scrapped. He was a character who had a fully designed sprite, appeared in promotional materials and behind the scenes footage, but never actually made it to the main game. This was an adult animated comedy horror adventure web series created by Near Human Intelligence. On June 11th, 2017, they published a video on YouTube called What's Left of Club Penguin. The video is based on what would be happening to Club Penguin a few months after its shutdown. It gained considerable attention a few days after the publish, with many people suggesting a second part. As a result of the feedback, Near Human Intelligence created a series named Club Penguin Shutdown, with the video from before being the first episode. They then created what would be episode 2 and called it The Gang, with the show even going on for 2 seasons. These were rumours of furry creatures who resemble puffles. They have a vast craving for pie and were originally a bunch of puffles on Rockhopper Island. However, there was a shortage of food and they became smaller after a while, coming exclusively only in red. Supposedly every 3rd or 6th puffle will give birth to one, but it seems like this is mainly role-playing lore. NetDisaster was a mid-2000s gag website overlay that let users destroy any web page with meteorites, paint, or even blood. When used on clubpenguin.com, it looked to children like a real hack, feeding panic posts. The Snowcat was a vehicle that first appeared as a decoration in experimental penguins. It was embedded into the ground next to a body of water with its doors broken off and fireworks dropped off beside it. It then reappeared in Penguin Chat 3 and was rideable. To access them, players first had to click the hook of the construction crane at the construction site, causing them to wear a hard hat. Then players could click the coming soon sign and a Snowcat would appear with the player riding inside. The Snowcat was coded as an alternate colour for players rather than as an item that was worn. Snowcats made a few cameos in Club Penguin but were not rideable again. The urban legend that the Penguin Chat 3 servers lingered on a forgotten URL. Hackers claimed to join barren white rooms with legacy chat. Again, there are plenty of remakes, but I couldn't and probably wouldn't be able to find the OG link if it still exists. These were real-world print magazines, mainly in the UK and EU, bundling codes for exclusive in-game items and activity pages. For many players, it was the monthly pipeline for unique outfits and puzzles. This point refers to the sled racing route that appeared in the PSA Mission 2, where you crash into the wilderness after riding a concept sled. The run consists of a small tunnel, rocks, trees, and branches. The end of the mission finished with 2 logs in an X shape and was impossible to go past that point. This mission made players wonder if it was a subtle hint at the track coming to the web game, seeing as this area is technically canon. However, that was not the case. A teased in-universe film based on the stage heroes Shadow Guy and Gamma Gal, after receiving a lot of love from players every single time their costumes were re-released in the theatre store, and even sold pretty well with real-life figures and books. It was promoted via posters and newspaper blurbs, but never came to fruition, and the story only ever played out in roleplays. But another interesting piece of lore is that the 2 characters were based on the community and social media manager's 2 eldest daughters. This is concept art for a range of different puffle species. Some had claws, antennas, propellers, and even legs, none of which made the final cut, and a lot of people in public forums are glad the final design is what everyone came to know and love. Now, I can't find any video or picture evidence for this point, but it's said to have been a prototype scene with a white background and penguins walking in a single horizontal queue, and was used for movement mechanics before any game in the Club Penguin history was released. It was basically the tester of Club Penguin's crowd navigation tests. Happy77 was a beloved blog writer and admin in the Club Penguin community, and her announcement of leaving the company had many players shocked and actually pretty sad. Her reason for leaving the company were to spend time raising her children, but die-hard fans of the game and moderator community sense that there could have been another reason, since another one of the community's favourite staff members, Billy Bob, also left at a similar time. Some fans even speculated it could have been because of Disney's acquisition and conflicting interests, but those comments had no evidence. Shortly after her resignation, Club Penguin would then end up immortalising her username and creating another in-game character / mascot who would appear in random events that you could interact with. One of the game's original creators, Creem, who was living in Belize and working remotely on the game's development. This personal tie was eventually honoured in the game itself. The official Club Penguin game included the Belize flag, which was released in July 2006 and made available to all players. A trivia note on the Club Penguin wiki confirms that this flag was added as a reference to Creem's home and work locations at the time. This is a new IP from the original team behind making Club Penguin the worldwide success it became, the likes of Arsnail, Polo Field, Screenhog, etc. The game is currently in beta and was announced 3 years ago now. It of course focuses on parrot characters, more specifically an endangered species called kakapo, and the development team has said that they are striving to bring back the charm of the original Club Penguin days. A memorable unscheduled 2-hour outage that lasted long enough for rumours to explode, like Club Penguin ended today. It's the first time some kids experience the world of Club Penguin might be gone. The reason behind it being that Disney just forgot to renew the game's domain by a specific deadline, and it was later renewed and the servers went back up. Octi was the inflatable octopus that made appearances in Club Penguin rewritten through different parties. There was a game-wide rumour that was made regarding him being alive, due to the fact that in different screenshots his eyes would be looking in different directions, suggesting a sentient being. The baby roleplay subculture where players act as infants seeking adoption by mum and dads, mostly centred in the pet shop. Their whole persona would be to act as a young child regardless of their real age. This sparked a lot of controversy online for the sole fact that there was a genuine possibility that grown adults were doing this and pretending to act and dress like a child. These were alleged beta ROMs of the DS games like Elite Penguin Force and Herbert's Revenge, with debug rooms, early sprites or cut missions, which collectors and lost media hunters swap rumours of. This refers to Club Penguin never adding beds to any in-game catalogue if you couldn't already guess. Many players who were serious about igloo decoration went through different methods of creating beds by combining sofas, small tables and snow clumps together. But again, apart from speculation about it either not being child friendly or them not being able to add mechanics for penguins to lay down, there's no real concrete conclusion. After the development of the first 2 PSA secret missions, the developer of these missions was struggling to figure out new obstacles and suggested to Club Penguin's creative team that a mastermind villain should be introduced. Screenhog, who was the creative lead at the time, opposed this, finding a villain would be out of place in the safe and fun world of Club Penguin. In order to appease him and build mystery, White Fur was included in the following few missions. If players did not want a villain, an excuse could be made that the fur was from a yet unseen white puffle. However, the idea of a villain proved popular, and Herbert eventually debuted as Club Penguin's first villain. Aunt Arctic was not originally conceived as being the director of the PSA. While making the tic-tac-toe code, Screenhog ended up with an extra symbol, and came up with the idea of this being the signature of a theoretical director of the agency. This raised the question of who this character could be, and since the only established character that existed at the time was Aunt Arctic, since the Penguin band had not been made into proper characters yet, various connections between Aunt Arctic and a potential agency director were made. In 2024, an anonymous user made a post on 4chan labelling internal Club Penguin PDFs. The self-proclaimed Club Penguin fan simply stated, "I no longer need these," with a smiley face, along with a link to a major file dump. The dump included 137 documents, which contained product planning, proof of concepts, internal emails, and some documents on other projects. The hacker reportedly stole the 2.5 gigabytes of sensitive corporate information from Disney's Confluence servers. They then dipped back into Disney servers to find additional sensitive data, including Disney's corporate strategies, advertising plans, Disney Plus, internal developer tools, business projects, and internal infrastructure. The high-profile private server scandal featuring unsafe moderation, abuse allegation, and law enforcement takedown. It's the darkest chapter of the post-Club Penguin scene, and a story which you probably can't go into too much detail on YouTube for. Again, another creepypasta story, which reads that the iceberg is a living entity. The island sits on its back, and the tipping hurts it. Fans point to eye-like shapes and subtle rocking animations as tells. The resale of stolen Club Penguin accounts, especially beta hat or rares, on shady forums/marketplaces. One of the most infamous occurrences of this happening was when Club Penguin Rewritten was hacked in 2018 and millions of users' personal information was leaked and sold online. It was inevitable, but since it was the first time, it really affected Club Penguin's economy and how safe all of the other private servers really are. This is a popular fanfiction that states that there is a hidden 12th PSA mission out there somewhere, named the Great Flood. According to this popular fan canon plot, the mission would involve Herbert attempting to flood the island by causing a geyser to erupt at the mine shack. The player would then need to help Gary use a new invention to contain the flood and trap Herbert at the fishing pond. Another cool fan story that gained traction, but unfortunately not a real one. The belief that mascot meetups were AI driven instead of staff operated because dialogue felt canned. It's a myth born from pre-scripted chat trees and limited Q&A during meet times, but was eventually debunked when it was revealed that the developers would have pre-written script tools to ensure that characters' dialogue remained consistent with their personality and to maintain a child-safe environment. I remember this exact image having so many kids scared because they didn't want to lose their accounts. A forever or permanent ban was the most severe punishment and was issued by a live moderator, not an automatic system. This would typically only happen for repeated serious offences, such as hacking, using third-party programs to cheat, or repeated bad behaviour. An alleged early game that showed more physical combat like kicks and sword-like slashes, but in fact, it wasn't even going to be for card jitsu. This rumoured prototype was actually for Snail's potential pirate sword fighting game for the Migrator ship. This idea was ultimately scrapped, and Snail later drew inspiration from meetings with a card game designer to create the much safer card-based card jitsu. Another old school creepypasta where there were reports of silent beta hat penguins who appear, never speak and vanish, whereas in reality they were just bots or people who were AFK. Sometimes players would encounter a glitch where the server list showed all servers as empty. This was usually a harmless bug, but it led to chilling fan-made stories about being trapped alone in a silent, deserted world with a malicious entity. Sort of like on Minecraft when you play on a world by yourself and sometimes you feel as though you're being watched or followed. This is a messification that the entire island is a single penguin's dream and the shutdown is them waking, and reinterprets every event that happens as dream logic. And with that final point covered, that brings us to the end of this Club Penguin Iceberg video. If there's any other interesting topics or concepts that you know about which I forgot to add, please feel free to put them in the comments. In no way is this a complete iceberg, it's just a little look into some areas that I could find information surrounding and thought it would make for an interesting video. But thank you all for watching if you made it this far, and please remember to like and subscribe.